Good evening, Paul.
Good evening. We're live. Yeah, good evening, all.
Evening, everyone. Hope you're all well, and touch wood, hopefully you'll all be able to hear me. I won't be crackling. And as Darren, I think it was Darren, it was, can you hear me at the very bottom? Hopefully you can all hear me, and I'm not echoing. Fingers crossed. I have done all the updates. I've updated these headphones. I've updated my computer. So fingers crossed we should go with fault-free, fingers crossed. But you never know in these live streams. It's always, something always comes up.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, first things first, let's, obviously, as you can see, there's only me and Paul. I think Jay is going to be away for a few weeks now. He's having to do, well, he's a busy man. He's going on holiday, and it's like he's going all around the world. Yeah,
he's
so Jay's
going to be very on holiday, then he's going on holiday.
I know he's really busy. Lucky for these teachers, they get some good holidays, don't they? I tell you. But anyway, he's going to be away, and as you know, Ross is working a lot of the time. To be fair, he's working a lot abroad a lot of the time. To be fair, so and obviously with a little one, he wants to spend some time with him. So obviously, he's stuck with us too. But hopefully, for the next few weeks, we're going to get a few more people on. We might even do an open mic, maybe. Let us know whether you think that's good, and we'll figure something out over these next few weeks until the lads are back, and we'll sort something out. But first things first, let's see who the first person was in the chat, and as you can see, it was Tony. So good evening, Tony, and as he says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, guys. Hit the thumbs up. Yeah. Rich, evening, Rich. Hope you're well. John, as always, hope you're well, my friend. He's just trying to get his grandkids in bed, mate. That'll be me when my grandkids stays over soon. So, yeah, I feel your pain. Cottage Reef, evening, Cotter. Techers, evening, Techers. Skids, as always joining. And always in the house, Drippy Reef Geek with something. He's always going to say something at the very beginning, hasn't he? He's saying, even in Reef Squares, who's feeling funky in a pair of Steve's pajama bottoms? He's only jealous of my Monster Munch pajamas. That's all he is, mate. So, yeah, we'll send him some. We'll get him some sent over. Riggs evening, Riggs UKM 120. Hope you're well, my friend. Stuart, as always. Darren, evening, Darren. Darren's saying he's had a couple of weeks, seems donkeys since alive. I know, mate. You know, it's just going through one of those times where it's summer months, people are going on holidays, and like I said, it's just sometimes. And with my job, obviously, I'm just going through those states where I'm on semi-lates. You know what I mean? Trust me, I don't want to do semi-lates, that's for sure. But It is what it is. We've got to get the money in. Hayla, evening, Hayla. Hope you're well. Darren, NG Reefer, Marek, evening, Marek. Mr. Scott Parker, hope you're well, Scott. Critical Reef, evening. Mickey Boy Mick.
Hi, Mick.
Mickey Boy, seeing your tank. Posted up your latest tank that you put up that absolutely looks fantastic on his post.
Seen a couple,
evening, Chris.
The freshwater one that's had the
freshwater one that
the top.
Yeah,
which actually
that's right.
I wouldn't do that, but looking at it, it puts it on a different level. So I think it's really makes it stand out even more. So it's a lovely tank anyway, but even better. And then I think there was the coral trays going into, was it an LFS? Right. I think I saw those as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the one. Headphones from Temu? No, mate, definitely not. I wouldn't actually complain if there was somewhere from like that, mate. But they're actually not. But fingers crossed. I'm not going to jinx myself, but I think everything should be running well. Howard, evening, Howard. Hope you're well, my friend. Missed you all for the last few weeks. Let's see who else. HC Aquatics, yes. How's it going, Niran? Hope you're well, my friend. And let's see. I think we're all up. I think we're up to Southeast is just joined. Evening, Southeast Reefer. Hope you're well. And Drippy's put, I'll do one of your late shifts for half. Mate, you can, by all means, my friend. By all means. So, Paul, first things first, it just looks like it's us two. And things been going on with your tank and stuff like that, and in general, my friend?
So, bit of a mixed bag, but what's going good is the 170 floating aquascape looks better than it ever has. Corals are really, really great. I actually put a post on Ultimate Reef because the 2 hystrix I've got are just growing out of control. So I was giving, so if anyone wants any hystrix free of charge, I won't post it because one, it's a pain to post, and secondly, posting hystrix, there's a good chance that the hystrix is quite brittle. So in the post, quite often they can break. But if anyone is in the Essex area, London area, wants any free pieces of hystrix, SPS, then let me know. I've got a pink hystrix and a green hystrix, and they're just the tank's dialed in. So I've been using this, which I know is your favorite. And I've only been using that for a couple of weeks. And to be fair, it's been growing. I've been using that since before I come back from holiday. So I think that's really helped because the colors are really good. But I just found the last 4 or 5 months, the tank is doing really, really well. Polyp extension really good. The color's really good. I actually, bizarrely, I might start swapping some of the corals out for slower growing corals, or I'm just going to have to frag them all the time because it's with the old problem with SPS. You grow the SPS out, starts blocking the flow and others. So I've got the only acro I've got in there is quite small. It's next to it and its color's okay, but it's not doing anything. So I think the flow is being blocked a little bit. So I've just got to cut it right back. So CVE. So it's only 2 weeks. Whether that's helped or not, but tank's looking really good. So that's on the 170. So excellent. The tank behind me, I've had algae problem in there for probably about 4 months, I would say, and I can't shift it. Manually removed it. Water changes. I know from a nutrient point of view, it's going to be low because it's the algae's eating the nutrients. So, and I've cut back on the feed and it just won't go. So I bought some of this last weekend, which is the Flux RX. I know Ross has used it before. I haven't used it before. So about 4 days into that, and it takes apparently about 10 to 12 days. And it's just beginning to go a little bit off green. So what you find
it goes grey.
So it goes grey.
It's like a grey colour.
Just beginning to go a bit wispy. So, and I know, and if you use that, and then that can drive cyano after that. So we'll see what happens. But I don't usually take a nuclear option, but I thought I want to take a nuclear option, get rid of the algae. If I got cyano, I'll have to deal with that. But I thought I'd give it a go. Gets pretty good reviews online. Have you used it before, Steve?
I did, mate. I used it in my 170. I had issues in the 170. Yeah, when I first started out, I had pretty. Well, I tell a lie. Yeah, it's similar to your story. With that tank. Yeah, mine was obviously a Red Sea 170.
Yeah.
So it's similar. Obviously, it's slightly bigger than yours, slightly water wise. Yeah, but it was the same for for a month or so. Yeah, it was perfect. It was no problems, whatsoever. Yeah, a couple of months, absolutely perfect. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing a bit of algae. And I was like, you know what, get some more cleanup crew in there, they'll sort it out. But it just, for some reason, it just started to take over the rocks and it was starting to look like a turf, look like an astral turf in there, and I was like, no, this is not good. And I was like yourself, I was pulling it out. Now I knew it wasn't like, there wasn't tons of, nutrients because it was so easy to pull out. Yeah, when it's absolutely wedged on the rock, then you've got a problem. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas, like, I could just pull it out in big tufts, and it wasn't resistant. You know what I mean? It was coming out, but then no sooner than I took it out, it was growing back. A couple of days later, it was coming back with a vengeance. So I got that off. I remember being told that off. Eddie, Eddie from where you used to work at Oasis. He told me about that. He said, try this. Well, the only thing you need to do, like big water changes with it. Once the treatment is done, you need to do a big water change. Now, obviously, I only had the 170, so I was like, right, no problem. And I literally did a 50% water change after I'd done it. But literally, from the moment I did that, and then it starts to go grey, and it starts to go like mushy, like horrible. And it gets to that week that you could just turkey baste it. You just blow it off the rocks, then it literally blows off the rocks.
The thing is, it's not on the rocks. I've got a little bit on the rocks. It's on the sand. So, and I'm kicking myself because I didn't. You see, if I look at the other 2 tanks, I use live sand. The reason why I didn't use live sand on this, because I didn't need much sand. So I was being a tight ass, basically. And I wish I'd gone with live sand, because I know it's not the RO, because a couple people said, oh, is it RO? It's not, because the other tanks are fine. So if it was the RO,
have you ever thought of doing like an ICP test on it? You ever thought of doing an ICP test and just seeing, you know, just because I'd be intrigued as to why you're only getting it on the sandbed, because 9 times out of 10 it'll go on your rock, or at least on your back wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the back wall's at it, but it's mostly the sandbed that it's gone. There's a couple of
unusual
small
though, to be fair.
But yeah, the
sandbed
rocks itself are okay. I mean, I've got bubble algae as well, which I've got to sort out. And the thing look at both of them. As soon as I got the algae and the bubble algae, I should have dealt with it at the time. And because I didn't deal with it at the time, it's got worse. And usually I do, but I thought, new tank, blah blah blah, it'll go. And it hasn't. So it's a good point. Someone said about an ICP for high iron levels or silicates. Anything if it's silicates, unless it's in the rock or in the tank itself, I'd have silicates in the other 2 tanks. Now the other 2 tanks, one's 3.5 years and one's 2.5 years. So you could argue, because they're older, they might be able to cope with it better. So it could be that. But yeah, that's a fair point. So it could be just this tank. It could be the rock, because it was dead rock that I treated, that I bleached and everything else, and then put that back in. But I've used that method before, and a lot of this rock, similar rock, was in one of the other tanks. In fact, the other 2 tanks have been used with this rock, which was my very first 2 tanks. So it could be something else. So yes, fair point. I hadn't really thought about an ICP. So I think I would definitely do that. Certainly, new tank hasn't helped. That's for sure. But where I've had algae before, it's usually gone on its own accord in the first month or 6 weeks. But this one is just as stubborn as you like. I mean, it's not ceramic rock. So this rock is the very first 2 tanks I got. I bought proper live rock, the rock that used to be imported, and the LFS used to keep it in vats and stuff like that. So it's proper old rock, old live rock. But obviously it was dead. So it's not ceramic. It's not ceramic. So, and then, it's next to the window, Cole. But the problem is, when I had my 5-foot tank now, I didn't have the problem either. So I get the fact it's next to a window. Sometimes that can cause a problem. So I think it's a combination of new tank. I didn't use live sand. I used sand I hadn't used before. And the algae's just on that sand. I have been taking out the sand as I go, because the algae stuck to the sand. So I did wonder about taking all the sand out and then gradually putting some new sand in. But if you do that with live sand, you have to put it all in one go. I mean, I don't think the window helps, but it's as I say, I didn't have the problem on the previous tank. So I'm just having a look at what some people are saying. Like you said, obviously Critical Reefs put down, like Reef King said, is like the window. But like you said, you had your big 5-foot tank there, and no issues there, was it? Never had any problems. The only problem I had was cyano, but then I had that every June.
Exactly. And Scott's put the reason in. It's on the sand, but it's nothing to do with the levels. It's because the sand hasn't moved. Be surprised what moves on the rocks: snails, crabs, fish picking it, even amphipods. Spoles. Fair point. It is. I mean, to be fair, I only started getting like when I had that little bit of algae that started coming on my tank, and I don't really, to this day, I don't even know, not long ago, a couple of months ago, and I was just so confused as to like what it was, and obviously, like obviously testing, and my nutrients were low, my nitrates and phosphates were low, but we know the reason why, because obviously the algae is taking the nutrients out of the water column. But even to this, and then all of a sudden, I started feeding more, where really you should go against that. But I started feeding more. I started dosing more, like of the CVE. I started putting more of that in, and then I started putting more of the coral power food, and I just started upping it up, just kept sort of, and then for some strange reason, the algae has completely gone now. I've got no algae whatsoever. I was starting to get a bit on the sandbed, and it's all gone. Obviously, the snails will took care of that and stuff. But now it is absolutely spotless, mate. And I'm like, what? But the thing with it is, I don't know what caused it. I don't know why I started to get algae in the first place. You know what I mean? It was just like it came on all of a sudden, and then it's gone. And I only tested my tank today with all the nutrients to see. And this like last time I tested it was 4 weeks ago, and it was 3.5 weeks ago. And the nitrates were like 8 ppm. They've gone to like 9.7 now, which is perfect. Between 10 and 15, I think is perfect. You know what I mean? It's the perfect balance. Whereas with phosphate, where they always used to have problems with phosphate, it was last time I tested it, it was 0.08. This time I tested it, and it was 0.08. It had not even fluctuated, not moved. I'm not running no roll phos or anything in it. It's just stayed absolutely rock steady. So, you know what? This hobby, it's just absolutely crazy, mate. Like you said, everybody's tanks, whether you've got, you've got 3 tanks, you know, each different tanks are all different, mate, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So you could do exactly the same with all your tanks, and yet one could get algae, one could get cyano, and the other one could be perfect. You know what I mean? You'll never get you'll never get them all right. It'll be impossible to ever get them the same. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy, mate.
There's just a few questions in there. So someone's saying about bacterium balance. I think, I just don't think the tank has matured or balanced as quickly as maybe the other tanks I've got for a whole host of different reasons. Yeah, so I would expect it to be further along than it actually is. So I think that definitely doesn't help. So what I did with the rock, so I bleached it for 7 days, let it then completely dry out. And then it was in RO for about, maybe for 2 weeks. And I didn't notice anything leaching from it at that time. So, and it's the same method I've used before. I'm not saying it, I couldn't have done something different, and it might be not as good as I did last time, but very similar in terms of approach with the dead rock and bleaching it. So there's that. I think what else we got? So Carl said it could be letting out phosphate, could be. Get the sand out. I have some high-end sand out. Yeah, I might take you up on offer. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to let this play out, the Flux RX, and see what happens. Hopefully they'll get rid of the algae. I think I then may gradually take the rest of the sand out, and I'm either then going to go bare bottom and increase the flow, or I may just put some new sand in, but I'll gradually put the sand in. I don't think I'll put lots of sand in one go. I think I'll gradually do it, but we'll see. And then what's that? So Cole said sometimes the rock is so old that it lets out phosphate. So I've already said that one, haven't I?
Yeah.
I've only just started dosing. I tested alkalinity for the first time in the last couple of weeks, and it was 5.6 because I haven't been dosing it. I've got quite a few corals in there, so I've started using what I'm doing, all for reef. So I've just started dosing manually, 2 milliliters a day, all for reef. So I don't think it's adding iron to it. So I think there's a total imbalance in the tank. So it's probably a combination of different things. Just I haven't come across it before. That's the way it goes. You kind of live and learn.
It is
on that.
It is, mate. It is for sure. I want to just go back to Critical Reef. He gave me a super sticker. I don't even know how you get these things. I really appreciate that, mate. Absolutely. You didn't have to, seriously, but I appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much. So let's go back down. So Woody's just joined us in the house. Hope you well, Woody. Let me have a look. Well, I just want to make sure I'm not going over anything. So check your tank for signs of a lot of pineapple sponges or other sponges. If you have a lot of sponges, it means you have high silicates, because sponges thrive off silicates.
So I have got sponges, but I wouldn't say I've got a lot, and they're widespread. Because I was looking in the rear chamber last night, and there isn't. I mean, I got some live rock in there that was already matured from another tank for 3 years or so. But I've got the odd 1 or 2 sponges, but I wouldn't say I've got.
You know what?
I've
got a crazy amount, mate. I have tons of them.
Yeah.
But when I've done ICP tests, no silicates come back. So that's unless that's actually taking it out. You know what I mean? Which is showing a negative on the silicates. I don't know. Well, I have I have loads of sponges in my tank. I have some black sponges. I have normal white sponges and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's basically mainly around the bottom, the bottom area of it. Yeah. I always thought that would they be good to just scrape off? If they wanted to take them out, they could have just scrape them out. You know what I mean? And do something like that. But they've never really caused an issue. Like I said, it's not like they've grown onto other corals. I've never had an issue, but like I said, when I've done ICP tests, which I've done a fair few now, there's no silicates in my tank. You know what I mean? Which is strange, but yeah, I might have to do another one and see what's going on. But
I'm probably due to do. I haven't done an ICP for a while, so there was a research biofilm. So I will done and put it into Google now, only because then it will remember. I'll forget by the time I get to later on. And then someone was asking about how I'm going to deal with the bubble algae.
Well, Rich has put my new 170 setup. He set it up on the 2nd of April. Has 5 fish, and he's got 0 nitrates and phosphates. Only filtration is live rock in the sump and bio balls from another mature tank. Added a UV, and now dosing nitrates and phosphates. Yeah, so April. It's what, 3 months oldish, three months old. So it's not long. It depends, to be honest, on like how much bio balls you've added into it. Remember, a 170. I mean, remember Rusty added a whole box of a max spec box full dinner into that little nano, and he was wondering, and his was the same situation. Why he was like, why is there no nitrates and phosphates in it? I mean, your bacteria could have been that good, that in theory, you've added maybe too many bio balls, or too much filtrate, the bio blocks. I was exactly the same. In that tank, I think I've got two max spec bio blocks, and I've got seven bio balls, 8 bio balls in there. That's all I've got in there. And yet, originally, I started off with a whole box full like Ross did, and it was like, what in the hell am I doing? Like I'm not, but you learn, don't you? Just as you, but from off people and going on YouTube and stuff like that. And in the end, really, I took all of them out. I mean, I still got them, to be fair. I just took them out and let them dry out, you know what I mean? And I put them in a bag. They're still okay, you know what I mean, for sure. But, for instance, if somebody was setting up a tank, like say a friend of mine or somebody was setting up a new tank, I could see the load of bio balls in there and then give it to him or her, and then they've got a kickstart on their tank, you know what I mean? And then you just top in a bottle of bacteria and you're good to go. But maybe just check on how many bio balls you've added into it, because of 170, I wouldn't assume you'd need many.
You wouldn't need that many, and also I think they take about 2 or 3 months before they kick in. And actually, you're at that kind of 3-month level, so it could be they're kicking in and keep your nitrate 0. So and then there was one there about bubble algae. So what I've started doing the bubble algae, if I get a toothbrush and just gently rub the rocks, the bubble algae comes loose, and then I can just net it out. Because I started picking it out one by one. Oh my god, it was so boring. So I just found with a toothbrush, and they just escape. And then also they get stuck in the power heads. So actually that's pretty good. So I get stuck in the power heads. I just take the power head out and clean it. So I've got to get an emerald crab as well. So I want to get a larger emerald crab, but I don't think the emerald crab could take care of it. There's too many at the moment. So I'm going to manually take them out. I've got some loose pieces of rock, so it's not all glued down. So I'm going to manually take some of the rock out, clean it with a toothbrush and put it back in, and just going to go through just manually removing it every couple of days, I think, and then with an emerald rock. But I think it's the lack of biodiversity in the tank that is causing it. And I never had a problem before with biodiversity. I probably haven't done as much to this tank as I did some of the others in terms of adding things, phyto, bacteria, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's probably a combination of different things.
This is a good one. If the algae showed up where you started dosing all three,
it's before that. It's been there for about 4 months, and all 3 I've only dosed since I come back from holidays. So that's what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's not that. I think it's just one of those where I've let it drift. It's got in there, and then it's just stubborn now.
Yeah. Tom's put, let it settle, gradually check parameters. Lesson is small changes, and absolutely, mate. And one at a time, so you can work out what the difference that change makes. And more changes you make at once, the harder it is to figure out. Couldn't agree with you anymore, mate. That is exactly what you need to do. And not only that though, like when you do one change, don't just do a change and then wait 1 day or 2 days and think, well, that change not worked. Do you know what I mean? You're supposed to give it like a week, 2 weeks or something, and then see if it has made an effect or whatever. If it's not, then do like I said, change something else out of the tank, do something different, and then like you said, by process of elimination, you will find out what the cause is. You know what I mean? For sure. It's just one of those things. Unlike me, I did it. I don't know to this day, what that algae was all about. You know what I mean? It's for some reason it just started to come, and it was like, what in the hell? Now I don't know whether it was because the tangs. Remember when I removed the tang and then I lost a couple of fish, and it was like, they were picking it.
Well, the tangs would have been picking it, because I think someone said in the 5-foot tank, I did have a yellow tang. So the yellow tang could have been masking the problem. So it could have been that algae was there, and the tang was unhappy. So it could have been that. In terms of someone said it earlier on, of course, it got no tangs in there, but it will take. So I'm going to use the Flux RX and then see how that works, and I'm not going to change anything else for that. After that, get rid of the bubble algae, and then I'll decide on. I might just take the sand out, but I'll do it gradually, because if I take the sand out, that is going to make a difference. That will change the dynamics of the tank.
You know what? Somebody did mention. Forgive me if whoever it was, but somebody did say. Have you tried where was it? Let me see if I can find it. Have you tried the Vibrant? Because the Vibrant will not only take out the bubble algae, but the algae, it'll also take out the bubble algae as well, Paul. So
no, I haven't gone down the route of Vibrant. I thought I'd just go the Flux RX. Now, of course, if Flux RX gets rid of the algae but doesn't get rid of the bubble algae, I'll then let it settle, make sure the Flux RX is out, give it a bit of time, and then, because Vibrant, you dose over a period of time, can't you? When it's bad, you dose it once a week, I think. Because I've used Vibrant before on a different tank for a different thing altogether. So I could use Vibrant, but I've just gone with this. I mean, I dosed it. It's 4 days in now. Skimmer's back on. I haven't done a water change yet, I must admit. But everything seems okay. So whether it does, I don't know at what point you do a water change on this. I'll have to have a look. Did you do a water change soon after?
No, I can't. To be honest, 100%. I'm not 100% on. When it started to go great, basically, anyway. You can see it. And to be honest, it lifts up itself. Remember, mine was on the rocks, so it was so easy for mine. And if you look back on my 170 videos, you'll all start laughing anyway. But it was like a mountain. It just looked like a rock of rubble that just fell off a mountain. It was it wasn't well scaped, that's for sure. Do you know what I mean? But so it was easy to pick out and stuff. But when I started to use that, it was like literally, mate, it starts to turn grey, and it was like it was an horrible texture. It literally turkey basted it, and at the time, obviously, I didn't have a filter roller, and it used to just go down the overflow straight into the. I had the old. The socks, and they were just getting filled up, mate.
I've already changed it a couple of times. So even I've noticed there's a lot more debris in the flow of the tank than it usually. So it's just beginning to loosen up. But, I mean, you were saying about playing with the lights and that. The corals look really good. The corals look fine. The fish look fine. The nems are fine as well. So if you look at it, I'm loath to change too much because I don't want to upset the corals. So far, because the corals and fish have been fine, I've just left the algae. Because I know what's going to happen. Probably the parameters are going to go all over the place, and I'll probably get the corals are going to start. I can't believe I'll put that in. The algae will go, and it won't upset the parameters, and it won't upset the corals. I'd be surprised if they don't start sulking at some point. And that's why I've left it as well. If the corals look crap, I would have done the same with it. But it's had no effect on it.
No. And like I said, to be fair, because the algae is only on the sand bed, If the algae was like taking over all of your rock, obviously, as you know, it takes all the corals. It'll be a nightmare. You know what I mean? So, well, you've not gone down that route, have you? You know what I mean? It's not got that far. So, well, like you said, I think now that you're addressing the situation, hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll all get gone, and like you said, it'll get back to normal. Do you know what I mean, mate? But like you said, the bubble algae is like, it's one of those things that I had bubble algae. Now I threw a couple of emerald crabs in mine when I got it. And touch wood, I never had it since. Now I think it must have come in on either a little frag that I'm not seeing,
come on and frags,
like you stick it in.
Yeah.
It must have come in. It must have come in like that. But anything that I can remove, so if I get an SPS or whatever, if I can remove that off the frag plug, then I will do. Do you know what I mean? But it might have come in on zoas. You know, when the zoas are open, when they're all covered, you can't see them, can you? All it takes is one or two of those little bubble algae to be on it, and that's it. You know what I mean? And stick it in your tank, flies off it, and that's it. It's game over. Do you know what I mean? It's just a nightmare to get rid of. But I threw a couple of emerald crabs in mine, and it was good. And they just demolished it, mate. They just got onto the job straight away. And you could see them. Even the missus was fascinated because they just pick them off dead gently and start munching on them. And it was, oh, mate, yeah. Well, it depends, like you said, how bad it is. And if it's bad, then no matter how many emerald crabs you get in.
I think the lesson learned for me is I should have dealt with it. Usually, if I've got a problem with a tank, I sort it out, blah, blah, blah. For whatever reason, I just left it on this tank. So, yeah, suck that bubble algae out. That will help. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I've read mixed me. Some people say if you pop the bubbles, it creates more bubble algae. But I've also read that actually it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. If you pop it, they don't spread any quicker. And the answer is I don't know. And I suppose if an emerald crab eats one of the bubbles, it's going to pop the bubble, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's no way it's going to eat it whole. So, so I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird one. So I don't know whether I should because it's easier to get out if you end up popping them. If you try not to pop them, it's actually taking longer to get them out.
Absolutely. Darren's made a good point, and I'll come back to this point in a minute, to be fair, because I do remember my phosphates 100% did go up when it that's why I think it says like you do a big water change, you know, when after dosing this Flux RX. I do remember it because I remember then speaking to like I said, what's it called, Eddie, and he said do a big water change, and I ended up doing a 50% water change in mine. Do you know what I mean? But granted, it was only a 1.7, so it wasn't that bad. Do you know what I mean?
Whereas it's only 100, so I could do.
So 50 liters.
Yeah, I mean, I do 25. I do a 10%, a 10 litre water change in about 10 minutes. It's brilliant when I do the water changes on that, so I can easily do, because I've always got 100 litre of salt water just in case I need it. So I can easily do it. But yeah, I think I'm due to test this weekend the parameters, but I might do the phosphate twice a week. So obviously I do it Sunday because only 2 days away, and then do it midweek as well, just in case. Just in case you don't know, but
absolutely,
yeah, we'll see. But I don't plan to make any other changes. I'm just gonna let that see what happens. I mean, I can pull out the bubble algae, and I've seen some comment. It could be the bubble algae that's driving the other algae, and they're probably feeding off of one another.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Alan said 10 to 14 days after dosing the original dose.
That makes sense, because it does say that after 10 to 12 days, you should see a difference. And sometimes it can take longer before you get the wispy and the grey. It does say that. So it makes sense that you do the water change after that, because otherwise, if you do the water change, you're taking the chemicals out, aren't you?
For sure. Tom has also put another valid point. Absolutely, I totally agree here as well. Try and avoid oils and potions. You want your reef to run as natural as possible. Water changes and tests. Slowly record the results. Then you have the data to look back on and understand. You know what, Tom? To be fair, I've only started not trying the oils and the potions, but like with my testing, I have tried to test more than I used to. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, obviously the KH keeper does the alkalinity and stuff like that, but I have tested now more for phosphates myself, with nitrates and things like that. And I do jot it down on the Reef Factory app. You know, on the Reef Factory, you can jot it all down. You know, on the Reef Factory app, which is linked to my which is linked to the KH keeper, and you can jot down your data, put all your parameters and all that, and then you can see the graph where it goes up, you know, when you bring it up on a computer and stuff. And yeah, it is definitely great. That's what we should all do, to be fair. And like you said, it is, because like you said, before you know it, you could look back and go, well, I changed something 5 weeks ago and now something's happening now. So could it have something to do with that thing what I changed 5 weeks ago? Remember, things like, you know, Paul, don't change in a reef aquarium overnight. You know what I mean?
It takes time. Gradual, and all of a sudden it falls off a cliff, and you get. Now, I must admit, I changed very little. If I look at the other two tanks, they're set up exactly today as they were when I've set it up, in terms of dosing and everything else, and the water changes, and so they're in a routine. I know also when, especially in a small tank, if I was to add 4 or 5 corals to this tank, that could have a big impact on this tank at its small, because when you throw corals in, you bring stuff in it, and that can, you know, obviously, you know, corals start growing, that pulls out the nitrates and phosphates and stuff like that. And the phosphate and the nitrate's been pretty solid. I test I try and do every week, but the longest I've left it is probably 3 weeks in the 11 months I've had it set up. And the nitrates and phosphates are pretty consistent. So, and I haven't changed that. The only thing I've changed on this is I've put the auto top up on it. That's because I was doing it manually for about a month, because I was just sick of the other one that was on there. But you know, I've now got an auto top off that's working as well, which is pretty good. So
yes, exactly.
I changed it, but so there's on here, there's different opinions about, you can pop the bubbles, and other people saying don't pop the bubbles. So I probably err on the side of caution, because if I don't need to pop it, I won't. But you can't help it. Sometimes you end up popping it. You think, oh no, I just spread another 50,000.
Exactly. But you know what? No, that's it. You know what? And it's the same with what do you call it? In it, you know, what they call them now? Aptasia, Don't you need to sneak up on them and then squirt in whatever you need to squirt into them, because otherwise, if they see you coming, they're going to release the spot, mate. You know what? To be honest, whether that is the case, I do not know. But when I used to dose before I got the peppermint shrimps in there and all that, when I used to have Aptasia, I used to go to the Aptasia X, and when I squirted that in, the areas that I remember, this is like when I do my YouTube channel and stuff, and I'm filming it. This is obviously I'm putting out to you guys, but it's also a diary, isn't it? You know what I mean? I can look back, and then when I squirted it in the certain places, and I've looked back on it, think, those Aptasias have never grown in the places where they were originally. Do you know what I mean? They've completely gone. They never come back. So it was like, well, you know, you read all up on all these things. Aptasia releases disposing, then you'll get thousands of them. Touch wood, I've not got one in my tank no more. Do you know what I mean? They just, once they got eradicated from the peppermint.
You got peppermint shrimps.
I did do, eventually. I'm not now. When all the Aptasia had gone, literally they'd all gone. It was so easy to catch. You know what I mean? The shrimps, and I took them back to the shop. I had 2 of them, and they acted as a tag team mate. They went onto them, and they were like, but I wasn't infested. You know what I mean? I caught it quick. I got it early doors, and once they let that. You know what I mean? Then I thought, well, they're only going to probably die in here, or they might nibble on a few bits.
Peppermint shrimps are fine. So I've got a peppermint shrimp in there. And I've got one in the 170, just in case I bring any corals in that's got Aptasia, and they're fine. I know some people say peppermint shrimps, they do eat their corals and stuff like that. Now I do see the peppermint shrimps all over the zoas and the other one, but I haven't seen them eat the zoas. But I've seen them pick in between, because they're scavengers, aren't they? So they're quite good cleanup crew. But I mean, some people have seen their peppermint shrimps eat torches and stuff like that. Now I do wonder. I've seen them attack a conch, but the conch I think was dead already. So it's things like snails and all those. They will attack things that are almost dead, won't they? So I mean, I don't know, but we'll see. But I always have peppermint shrimps in the tank for that very reason. What's that?
This is just pop them. Emeralds can't eat them whole, and I'm sure the late great Jake Adams spoke about them in a Reef Build video. Yeah, you could be right, mate, for sure. Tom, keep the fish fed and happy, and keep an eye on your parameters. Have the right amount of patience, and the rest will naturally fall into place. into balance. Sorry, absolutely, mate. Couldn't have said it any better myself, mate. That's exactly what. And to be honest, yeah, that is what you should do. I mean, for me, you all know my you've seen my tank, and you all know I keep my hand out my tank as little as I only put it in when I absolutely need to. You know what I mean? If maybe maybe like a coral's been moved, or like you've got those trochus snails that walk around like the bulldozers. They like knock into corals and stuff. They flip them over. Yeah, if I can't reach it with the thing, then I'll put my hand in, I'll get it, and I'll move things. Or if I'm snapping some coral off because it's growing, too quick or so, then that's the only time I ever put my hand in the tank. I never put it in otherwise. I just keep it. No, keep my hand out of the tank, mate, and leave it to its own devices. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's all. And like Chris says, run a UV. I've always run a UV. I would have never run a tank without a UV.
See, I've never run a UV.
I've always run them, mate.
In the 10 years, I've never run, and I've kept. I mean, if I start another tank with tangs, then I probably would put a UV on it.
Yeah,
but I've never run it, so I know very little about UV other than what I've read, and I've never had dinos, so I've never needed it for that. Or if I have had it, it's when the tanks first started up and they just comes and goes. So I've never really thought about it, because I never really, if you never used it before, you don't really think about it. But yeah, I know some people swear by it. I know you do. But one day I will have a UV, but I don't. Whether I need to or not is another matter.
Oh, I mean, I don't know whether you actually need it. Like you said, it's a contentious subject. Whether you need it, whether you don't need it, it's like anything. Whether you need an apex,
people swear by it, and they wouldn't.
I
wouldn't have a tank without a temperature controller on it, for example. I wouldn't even dream it, and I wouldn't dose manually. I know some people do. I'd always have a dose, although I've started on this one. I will put a dose on this. So there's certain things I always would do, and I get why people would always have a UV, because it's both, it's a standard for them, is really important to them.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Let me have a look.
Thank you. Some really good points in there from everyone, the guidance and everything else. So I'm going to sit through with the Flux RX and then do nothing. I'm going to manually remove the bubble algae, and then we'll see where that goes. And I'm undecided on what I'll do with the sand. I'll probably end up taking it out, whether I'll replace the sand or not. I've never run a tank without sand. So I am interested.
You know what? This is another contentious subject, mate. Where, me personally, I just don't think. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, there's some absolute. Is it Viking Reaper? Viking Reaper. I don't think he has sand, does he? I don't think, or one of them.
Can't remember.
I don't think he does. I don't think either. One of them has an incredible tank. It's just like as if it's floating. I'm sure it's Viking Reef or something like that. Sure it was, mate. But anyway, and it looks incredible. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but for me, just doesn't look like a reef without sand. You know what I mean? It just doesn't look like a reef, mate. The whole idea is we want our tanks, we want our glass boxes to look like a reef when the corals all grow out, don't we? That's what you want it to look like, mate. Or that's what I want it to look like anyway. You know what I mean? And for me to just put a load of rock on the glass, and then just stuck coral on it. No, I need sand in my tank. Now obviously people put black sand in it. I've seen black sand in tanks. That looks pretty nice, to be fair.
Black sand, I must admit.
The reason with black sand, is the corals, when you've got super corals, like say Holy Grails,
you got a scully or something like that on the sand.
Scully, mate.
Yeah, for sure.
Mate, it just looks, it's an absolutely fantastic photographic piece. Do you know what I mean? Because it's on a black sand. It just looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I've seen that and it does look nice, to be fair. But would I have it? Probably not. You know what I mean? I think I'd always have white sand in my tanks. Do you know what I mean? But like you said, it's each to their own, and people just want something different, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Which, who am I to say you shouldn't go to? Do you know what I mean? But for me, I would definitely have sand. But Ayla's put put 2 pepper bits in my tank. I never see them. Is that no? A lot of the time, Haley, to be fair, they do come out in the evening, yeah. And if you've got like an arch or something like or a cave, I'll guarantee you they'll be in there. You know what I mean? And you will see them every so often. They'll, you know, especially if you come down at night and you just like shine a torch dead quick on them on the glass, you'll see them scurry and they're like, or they'll freeze and you'll just be like, oh God alive. They will be there somewhere, but they'll just, like you said, 9 times out of 10 they come out in the evening because obviously they're away from predators. They don't know they're not going to be eaten, do they? So they come out and they do it. They do the things at night time. But yeah, they should be okay, mate. They'll definitely be there. NG Reefer, what is everyone's go-to pellet food? I've used the Life Spectrum probiotics. I just got some Formula One. Think I prefer the probiotics. Paul, which one's yours, mate?
I can't remember the name of it. It's really small pellets. Let me go and get the pack. I'll be 10 seconds.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the ones that I use. To be fair, to be honest, I use the what's it called now? The TMC, you know, the new TMC, let me go. I'll go and get myself while I'm here. While he's going to get his, I'll get mine. Let me see. Sorry, guys.
I use those ones.
Oh,
I use Snap, the small ones, because I find with the smaller fish, absolutely love them. They haven't got to chew them up or spit them out. No. I've been using those for years, and I think the fish absolutely love them.
Yeah.
So I mix it up with flake. Agree, mate. Sometimes I mix it up with flake, and I'll just put small bits of flake in along with that. Yeah,
they're the same, exactly the same ones that the Hikari ones. Yeah, they're the ones that I'm using, and I've got to admit though, my fish absolutely love those ones. You know what, your meat when we went to your Love to Reef, and TMC gave out those copepods.
I haven't tried those. I've got a packet of those.
Oh, mate, stick them on the glass. I stick them on the glass. Yeah, you know, it's like, because it's like a paste. Yeah, stick them on the glass and watch your fish go mad for it, mate. But also watch your scullies and your corals because it basically goes into like a I don't know, like a liquid. You know, when they start taking it apart,
so it disintegrates.
Yeah, and it disintegrates. And you watch your corals, mate, eating that. Honest to God, this is the second pack. I actually bought this one myself because of the first pack I got from him. Yeah, I only got the one. I should have got 6 of them while I was there, but I only got the one. Yeah, and I swear to God, mate, I bought these, and the fish absolutely love it. I probably give them these maybe what twice a week. Yeah, twice a week. I probably stick one on the glass. But the pellets, I only give them maybe twice a week. But the majority of the time, my fish eat the food that I make. So in all honesty,
it's good to mix it up a little bit. So I'll use that.
Yeah,
I'll use some flake that I grind down as well, and then I use mysis, and I've got brine shrimp. So I do try and mix that. So I've got some of that. So you put it on the inside of the glass, and then does it last quite a while, or do they just demolish it in no time?
Not when the clownfish are. Honest to God, mate, you know what? I wish that my lights were on and I'd stick a piece on and you'd see what they'd be like, mate. One time, I'll turn the light. Excuse me, I'll turn the lights on, and while I'm on the stream, and I'll put one of them on the glass, and you just watch.
Well, I tell you what, I'll go and find the pack, and I'll do it now. Wait a minute.
Honest to God, mate, trust me, you'll be mad. It's crazy, mate. They love it. So let's have a look in this, Chris. I had some early on in my XL pot and ran a UV. Never seen them. I'm assuming to talk about some diseases. It was that like sort of not adaptation, something like a white spot or something like that. Yeah, that's why I run mine, mate. To be honest, I've never had any issues with any illness on any fish. I've never lost a fish to anything like that. Let's see, Paul. There we go. Fish are onto it. You see it. You can see it melting away. You see it melting away there.
It disintegrates, as you can see. Well, you can see it, can't you? It's disintegrating.
So but look at the
they're
fish.
Not going up to it.
Look at the fish. The fish are coming out. They're nipping on a look. They're nipping on little bits that are melting off it.
I think one of those is probably too much for that tank. But never mind.
Yeah, it could be. It could raise your nutrients.
I might have to do. I might have to reduce that to half.
Yeah, you could be right. But trust me, mate, honestly, God, your tunnels are going to love it.
With food. I have to do a water change tomorrow now. That's going to help. The algae's going to love that. Never mind.
Oh, mate, funny. So let's see. Darren said Viking a stand. Well, there's one of them. I'm going to have a look to see which one it is. There's definitely one of them where it looks like it's an arch gate that goes all the way across. So the peninsula tank.
Yeah.
Paul's panicking now. It's taking it out.
But I'm taking it out because they 100-litre tank. That is too much. Last time I bloody take your advice, I tell you.
Hey, fish loved it, mate.
Yeah. So does the algae.
You know what? To be honest, I didn't actually say that. Yeah, I put one in my 350 litre. So
there's a bit of difference. I think maybe I think a quarter. Or I'll just use it in one of the other tanks because I've got a 280, so I'll put it in there. Well, that went well, didn't it? Yeah. Do you know what? I've done a J.
Yeah.
I do know what we should say. Oh, Jay, have you got these? And get Jay to put it in.
I think he did have a packet. To be fair, I think he got a pack. Oh, yeah, they were all on the chairs when they went TMC. Did the chat. So yeah, I should have got more, but I honestly got my fish love it, mate. The clownfish, they just fly up to it. The what's it called? The fox face. He goes mad for it. So yeah, they love it. But it's like a treat to them, mate. Like I said, maybe twice a week I put them in. That's if I can remember. Definitely once a week.
Like a 10-course meal.
It's like a banquet for them, mate.
I tell you what, the Nems will love it as well. They're all coming out as well.
Oh yeah.
So the Nems will love it.
Oh, they will do, mate. For sure. Let's have a look. Big shops have UV. UV can help, absolutely. Yeah. Tom, in such a small tank, you would be nuts removing the sand, as you will more than likely kickstart a new cycle.
Maybe
possible.
I would. I mean, if I took the sand out, I would take it out gradually. I wouldn't take it all out in one go. I would do it over maybe I don't know, a cup a day or something like that. Regardless of the size of the tank, if I was taking the sand out, I would not take it out in one go. It'd be over a period of time because you're just going to change the whole balance of the tank. It's just like if I was putting new sand in, I wouldn't put loads of new sand. I'd put it in bit by bit, and I'd do it over probably a couple of months. If you do a bit a day, then over a couple of months, it's probably not going to make any difference.
So this is interesting. Tekka's put black sand is magnetic and sticks to your glass draper.
Oh.
So if that's the case, would it leach metals into your tank then? Why did he sell it if that's the case?
It depends on the metal though, doesn't it?
I suppose. But interesting. I never knew that. Wow.
I know what you mean.
That's interesting, that is. Riggs has put pets will eat your dying coral and tissue. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, obviously that must have meant that my corals were healthy then, to be fair, because I've never seen them go anywhere near my corals. They stayed under the archway. You know what I mean? So whether the fish were onto them, like bullying them or what, but they always stayed there. But they did come out, like I said, in the evening and took care of all the aptasia. But crazy, mate. Nice. Cheers, boys. No problem, mate. Carl's put, get some tropical gravel. The big stones.
I tell you what, though, I do fancy setting up a planting tank.
I know they do look good, don't they?
I might get a small tank to about 50 litres, and I fancy doing a red shrimp tank.
Yeah, red shrimp tanks, yeah.
And the plants that low energy, doesn't need much in terms of lighting, all that kind of stuff. So I probably will at some point.
Yeah. I think you will, mate. I think you would do something like that, to be honest. Darren's put 3 lottery food state. Mine went nuts too. Absolutely, Darren. Reefkeeping, Charles puts, let's see. My copper band eats bloodworms. Interesting. Reefkeeping's put Paul, stop feeding the algae.
Yeah.
You know what, Paul, if you come down tomorrow and it's completely green, do not blame me or send me an invoice or anything.
I'll do an Instagram rant at you.
Yeah. Scott, to remove sand and avoid spikes, just siphon out during a water change. Takes everything, including the gases released, because it's the dissolved nutrients that's the problem in the sand. It's the gases, exactly, mate. I mean, God only knows if I move the sand in. Well, I do stir the sand in that, parts. Like I said before, like
you've always done
when
that,
I say little bit. Yeah. When I say little bits, I mean like literally probably maybe 2 inch by 2 inches of it apart, and I just stirred it with the feeder. Stir the sand, and you see the waste, mate, go up into the water, and then literally I do that maybe that little part maybe once a week or something, and then I go to another part and I move that, stir that sand part of the sand bed. I literally do it, because if I did all that at once, mate, I think the tank would crash. In fact, I know it would. It'd kill everything, mate. Because
it just locks it. I remember when I closed down the 5-foot tank that I had running for just under 7 years. Once I got all the fish out, when you start taking the rock and what stirs up, you think, oh my God, all of that is trapped in the sand and also trapped in the rocks as well. And I think if you're going to stir the sand, then do it from early on in the tank when it's not that much, and that way. But if you've got a tank, it's like, I wouldn't, if I had the tank 3, 4, 5 years old, I wouldn't start stirring the sand at that point. You probably can and get away with it, but I wouldn't do it.
No. I mean, obviously, I only stirred it because obviously I don't do water changes now. If I did water changes, it wouldn't be an issue, because I'd sand sift the sand anyway. You know what I mean? I'd be getting it into it and stuff. Because I don't do water changes, I just stir it up little bits at a time, and try to get rid of a bit of whatever it might be in it. Obviously, it's going to be impossible for me to get rid of everything, but little bits, small points, as Tom says, small bits at a time. Helps you out in the long run, mate, for sure. But Tom's also put, if you've got to remove a cup of sand every day / week, then why not just do a gradual water change whilst keeping an eye on your water parameters and let the good bacteria take charge? Yeah, good point. Good point. Tom, all valid points from Tom. Paul, that will look sweet, mate.
I mean, he'll get there in the end. I'm patient.
Absolutely. So tell me about this. What's your first impressions on this new ATO from Red Sea? What do you think? You've had it running for a while, haven't you?
I've had it 6 weeks now. I like it. I think it's really
6 weeks,
good. As an ATO, it's, it replaces the RO, so it does what it says on the tin. But I've got to say, the other features have got me thinking. So you've got the temperature controller on it. No, so not a temperature controller. It measures the temperature of the tank, but doesn't control the temperature. So that's good. And it sends you an alert. So if you can put a range on it, and if it goes outside of that range, it sends you a message, which I thought was pretty good. It's got a leak detector, but you hopefully you'll never use that. So that's around the back of it. I've just bought that. If I can see it. That's a mobile plug, Wi-Fi plug. So what I'm going to do I'm going to put that onto the temperature controller, so that if the temperature controller failed for whatever reason and the temperature went up, then I could actually switch it off. And I was comparing the Red Sea ATO to the basic Apex, which sounds really weird. So with the basic Apex, which I think is about 320 quid, you obviously get a small brain on it. You get the pH probe, you get a temperature probe. I think you get a leak detector, but you don't get the power plugs anymore. And actually, when you look at what you get with this is cheaper other than the pH probe, and if you're not fussed about a pH probe, it's very similar. And the app's pretty good as well. So I think in terms of I like the Red Sea app. I think that's better than Apex app. Just personal view. I think it's easier to use. I mean, I've got an Apex, had an Apex for 9 years, absolutely love Apex. But if you don't plan on getting all the other stuff for Apex, I do wonder whether going down the Red Sea route with this is a better option, because you can see what the temperature's doing. And it's obviously an ATO as well. So I think it's really good. Yeah. So far, so good. And what's really weird, and when I just had the lights on the Red Sea and the app, never used the app. Now, every so often, I find myself going into the app, seeing what the temperature's doing, seeing what the water levels are on the auto top-up. And I found when I was in Greece for a week, I was going into that a couple of times a day, just making sure things are okay. Have I got connectivity? Because if the Wi-Fi goes in the house, the electricity goes, I won't get connection to it. So on that, so I thought it was really good. So as a piece of kit, I think it took me about
that's one thing that everything.
Yeah, go on.
No, that's one thing that the Tunzi, obviously, as you know, I had that on pre-order, and because I thought I was giving up on this Tunzi. I was like, this is not going to work. For some reason, it's just not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But then obviously, thankfully, we got it all sorted and stuff. And you know what? I mean, I've not had any issues with it. I've cleaned it twice, since I've had it, and I've never had an issue with it. And it's like working flawlessly now. Now, could I have got that? Could I have gone ahead and just still bought that?
It's not worth it, though, Steve. If you already got it, but what's the point? 180 quid just sinking for nothing. Now, I've run the Tunzi on that tank there for 3.5 years, and then it was on a different tank. And I think the Tunzi ATO is brilliant. What's good on the difference of this one? It depends. If you plug and play. I mean, on the 170, I've got a different one that took 5 minutes to set up. It's been working for 5 years, blah, 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 good as gold. This one took, I think it was 90 minutes to set up, because you've got to cut the pipe and you've got to calibrate it and everything else. So it's a bit more of a ball's ache to set up. But I think it's really, really good. I do like it. I think it's a really good piece of kit. And the way they test it as well with these little metal sensors. Now, who knows how long it'll last? I mean, I've had it 6 weeks. People say, come back to me when you've had it 3 years. And I get that, because you don't know unless it stands the test of time, do you? That's the thing. I totally agree. And the only thing, the one thing I really loved about it is where you can see how much water has been dosing into your tank, with it. You know what I mean? How much you've got left, in your drum and stuff. Because to be honest, I always forget to top up, my RO. I have my thingy plugged into a 25-litre barrel. You know what I mean? And sometimes I all of a sudden all the air is a dead loud noise, and I'm like, oh my god, freaking out, the engine's burning out, and I forgot to top it up. Whereas if you had a sensor where you could have tell you, it's running low, or you've dosed 24 litres, so you've only got a litre, and it sent you a text message. Mate, you know me, anything that can make my life easier, that is a win-win, you know what I mean, in my eyes, for sure, do you know what I mean? But not many of them do that, and I think, obviously, only Red Sea are only the only ones that do it. Actually, I don't know if you can see that properly. Let's see if I can angle it. Oh, there we go, right.
Oh, there we go,
As a visual, you can see where you got the circles, in between those four, where the water level, that's where it's supposed to be. And then if it goes high and too low, I know it sounds really simple, but it's such a simple way of just demonstrating what you've got. And I just
exactly.
think the way they've done it and how they've worked the app is really, really good. So hats off to Reefkeeping. And I have paid for it, so I'm not, not a promo or anything like that. So I'm not really. I mean, do I do gadgets? I suppose I do. Not as much as you, but I just think it's a good, like anything. Do you need it? No. Do you need an auto top up? I think you do. But, for nearly 10 years now, I've used a manual one, not a problem. Tunzi, and in fact, I used a float switch one on Red Sea. I had the Red Sea original one.
I did.
For the I'd never put, other than when I went on holiday, I used the stock auto top off, which is the float valve, which everyone says crap, blah, blah, blah. And it worked. And it doesn't make a sound. Whereas you say about the pump and all that. And I think it only used to get blocked if I didn't clean it. So if I cleaned it every 3 or 4 months, it wouldn't get blocked. They sometimes get a bit gunked up, don't they? With either salt or gunk. So, you know, that was really good. So you're going from a float switch, which is like been around for donkey's years, to a bit of tech. So for me, I'm sold on it, I've got to say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. I mean, before I added the roller filter into my tank, mate, that's all I had. I didn't have an ATO, you know, in my tank, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then because, like I said, I had the basic, you know, the glass ATO that sat on the top, you know, with, like I said, with a float switch, mate. It was no problem, and then all of a sudden it went you know, the actual float, it broke, and it dumped like all the water into it. It had gone down, and it got it. So, I mean, thankfully, I think there was probably only maybe 5-6 liters or something, so it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? But it's still, and that was the time where I was like, no, this can't happen. We need to get a thing. And then what I did was I bought the D&D. I bought the D&D, you know, the green D&D one, which worked flawlessly, mate. The green D&D one, 60-odd quid. Worked a treat, mate. Worked a treat, no problem whatsoever, And then, like you said, and then in the end, that gave up after, I think it was like a year and a bit. But for the price, it wasn't, you know, I always say you pay for what you get, and you know, in the end. And then obviously I went on to this one, what I've got now in the tank. But I mean, touch wood, it's working flawlessly now, mate. You know what I mean? I clean it. I've cleaned it twice since it's been up and running.
Yeah, I think,
you know what I mean?
I think you've got to
keep it clean.
The sensors and that, and I think that is where your issue was, because you was dumping all that stuff, all of the aqua forest. You was
and stuff like
some serious amount of elements. When you think about how much you were doing on that aqua forest, all in that small space, and I reckon that's what bumped it up.
Yeah, probably right, mate. Anyway, Chris has put, let's see, got the Red Sea return pump, the return pump last Sunday as his J-Cod failed. Very impressed, solid as a rock, and no more issue with gurgling and adjusting the valve. You know what, to be honest with you, Chris, I mean, everybody I've spoke to now, like, with these Red Seas, they're all like, I mean, to be honest, I've never, like, they all used to slag the tanks. That, you know, granted, they're not the best well-built tanks, you know, the standards especially, Well, I think my tank, I don't want to jinx it, but my tank, I've never had any issues with it. I always click, you know, I've got no rust with the you know, the hinges or anything, because the moment I got it, I put Vaseline on it. Pump some in Vaseline, Stick it with Vaseline, And I can show you now, these are the existing ones, and there's not a 1 millimeter of rust on it. Some of them I see, and they like, all they are is pure rust, you know, people's tanks. And I'm like, why don't you just put Vaseline on it? Vaseline's a water repellent, you know what I mean? But, you know, it is what it is. But, like, all the equipment that they're bringing out, they brought the lights out. There was people saying, oh, they're not good. Now people rave about them. Then they brought the reef mat out, People slagging about, oh, you know, but it's big and bulky and it's this and that. Now people are raving about them. You know what I mean? Everything they bring out, people slag them off at first, but then eventually they all rave about them. And all I see,
these lights, when the LED
lights,
ones,
that's what I said,
the
lights,
people are having a go at the lights. But they grow. This is the Reef 50. Now, to be fair, I haven't got any have I got any SPS? No, I haven't got any SPS in here. But in terms of the LPS and the chalice and all that, and I'm getting decent part of the top there. I think I'm getting about 300, and this is only on about. I've turned it down to 40% because I didn't want to give too much light onto the algae. So 40, I think it was 50% when I measured it. To be fair, but 300 part at the top there. In this light, that will grow most corals. And people got the 90s they're doing really, really well. And I think the kit they brought out, and even like this is a Gen 2, so the cabinet, I've got a 170 in the garage. This is a better quality stand than the 170.
And the older version.
Thicker, it looks better and everything else. So they are upgrading the different stuff. I mean, I like Red Sea. And I've had, I'm on my third. This is my third Red Sea tank that I've had. The 450, the 170, and now this one. The 170 gets absolutely battered in the garage, and it's doing fine. I've had that, 5 years? up and running.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I actually think the 170 and the 200 is probably one of the best tanks. I know you started off with the 170. I love the 170. I think you can do a really good stock in there. You can't really put too many fish in because, you can, but then you've got to deal with the parameters. I think you can put lots of coral in it. I think it's a brilliant tank if you don't want too much hassle. You don't want big water changes. You don't want to bust the bank for it. And you can get some decent second-hand, the 200 ones at the moment. You can get like 170, a 200 for like 150, 200 quid. People are selling them for.
Yeah,
it's just like nuts. I saw a full setup of the Max Nano, including the stand, 250 quid. Then there wasn't no content, but all the light. And do you think all of that, 250 quid someone was selling it for? And you think, I don't think so. It's just like nuts. But there we go.
It's madness, mate. It is. It's absolutely madness, mate, for sure. And like I said, and I have to agree. To be honest, the biggest mistake that I made was buying. Should have gone big when I knew, because I knew that when I bought that small one, I knew I'd researched and I'd done my best, for 18 months before I even purchased it. 18 months it was before he even done, because I wanted to know, because I knew that once I invested, I knew that if I didn't succeed in it or didn't do well in it, my missus was going to give me the biggest earache I would have ever got in my life, mate. Yeah. But not only that, though, I didn't want to fail. I hate failing at anything, mate. So it was like I wanted it to succeed. But when I bought that 170, and then once I got over the algae issues and I got over a few issues and stuff like that, I had a bit of cyano. Once I got over that and I started researching it, I got my head around it. And then it was flourishing, and before you know it, it was growing everything. And I was like, what? And within 8 months, 8 months, I was like, need a bigger tank. This is not going to cut it, this. And then so I wasted, so I spent a fortune because I bought the deluxe model, which was like, at the time, I think it was like 1,300 quid or something, 1,400 quid.
And everything, isn't it?
With a light and everything. But then in the end, I wasted it because I sold it then for about 500 quid. You know what I mean? So I lost all that money, within 7 months, 6 months, 7 months. And I bought a bigger tank, whereas I should have just bought a big one straight from the get-go because I knew that I was going to be in the hobby. So I should have just bought that tank straight away and left it at that and saved myself a few quid. But, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But nowadays, because people are shutting them down, closing tanks down left, right and centre, mate, bargains are all over the show, mate. You can see bargains, everywhere. They're all over. Like you said, 250 quid for that thing. That's just madness, mate. The light on it alone is probably worth 200 odd quid. You know what I mean? So you get a tank for free. It's mad, mate. It's insane. It's sad, really, at the end of the day, to be fair, that people are coming out of the hobby. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, a lot of it is down to electric. A lot of it is just general living. You know what I mean? Because it's not one of those hobbies that's cheap. You know what I mean? Especially if you buy
but if you go pre-COVID, even if you go back, before 2020, you would still see people that would buy a tank and all the bells and whistles, and they would still sell up in 5 or 6 months because it wasn't. And so I think there's always been quite a high churn in the hobby. It's just that more people have been selling in the last 18 months than I've certainly seen in the 10 years I've been in it. But there's always been quite a high turnover of people. And when you see people, selling tanks and they're not even wet. Some people buy the stuff and don't even set it up. And I know circumstances change, but that's you're not going to get anywhere near your money, are you?
No.
You're really not. It's just it's nuts, really.
It's true, mate. It's true. Red Devil has said, plus it's not priced too bad. I think he's talking about the ATO there. So it's a really good price, mate.
Yeah,
for
sure. So it's 180 and then £200 if you buy the bracket. I didn't buy the bracket, even though there's not a bracket on there. I've just put it down next to the return nozzle, and it just slips in there nicely and doesn't move. But I don't. Is it a lot of money? Yeah, it is. You can get an ATO for the one I was talking about earlier for about 90 quid, but nothing else comes with it. So you just want a basic ATO that works on, I think it works on 2 sensors now. So you've got a bit of redundancy there. Then that's fine, isn't it? It's a bit like, you've got the KH Keeper. Some people keep SBS for years. Tank's really, really solid. And they haven't got a KH Keeper and they save themselves all of that. I think someone's putting there each to alone. You've got to set it up what's good for you, haven't you? And what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Darren's put, Eskimo 1 turns off when the water level is too low in reservoir, but no notification. Red Sea ATO incoming. Absolutely, mate. That is, like you said, that is one thing where I think all ATOs should have implemented them, yeah. Especially if they've got an app or you know, they've got app related and stuff, is that they must say how much it's dosed, yeah, and how much is left in the reservoir. That's a must, mate. You know what I mean?
The only thing I would say, I've had to recalibrate this a couple of times, because what is left in the container is less than what's being dosed. I still haven't calibrated it as I would like it, because what you do, you put in there how long is the pipe and what distance in height does it cover. So obviously it's down there and it goes up to there, and I measured it out. So I put is exactly the height and exactly the length of the tube, and I've had to reduce. So I've had to say like 1.2 meter, I think it was the length of the tube or something. I've now brought it down to a meter. So I'm having to calibrate it because I still haven't got it right. So I wouldn't say it's perfect. It could be me, but I followed it.
So why do you have to do that? Because I thought the whole idea of an ATO is if it drops your water, yeah, you know, idea is it drops the water.
Right. So the app tells you
it's just going to top it up.
Oh, you can't see the cabinet now. But what I'm saying is it tells you how much is left in the container. So I say, right, I've got a container and I've got 10 litres. I've got a red mark on it and it's 10 litres in there. So I've put in there, I've got 10 litres of water. And then as it puts the water into the tank, it should say like 9.8, 9.7, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But what it's doing, it's saying 6 litres, and I've got nowhere near 6 litres in it. I've got 3 or 2. So it's not calibrated properly. And I've looked online and a couple of people have had the same problem. And the way it calibrates it, I think, is it determines how long the pipe is and also how so it can, from that, it can calculate how much it's sending through and going into the pipe. It's also got a siphon, so when it stops, the water flows back into the container. So it's not like when you've got the what's the little valves you put on? You put the little valve, non-return valve.
The check valve. The check valve.
It hasn't got a non-return valve. It's got a siphon, so water actually goes back into the container. So you basically need to get that right, and so I'm having to recalibrate. Eventually, I'll get the sweet spot, but that's one thing I'm disappointed with. I followed the instructions on that, and the distance I've put in and the length of the tube, I know is right what I put in the app, and I measured it. But I've had to then say, well, the measurement's less and blah blah blah. So that's the only downside to it, that I can't rely on. When it says that's got 5 litres in it, I know it's got less, but actually the gap now is getting less. So I'm going to use this 10 litres and then I'll recalibrate it and say it until I know it's spot on. And on the container, I've just got little notches. So I know it's 10 litres and I know it's 5 litres. So I'm doing it that way. So that's a bit of a pain in the ass, but that's the only thing I would say that is the gripe I've got with it. But it's no big deal. I mean, 10 litres in this tank, I'm filling it up every about 2 weeks. So it's brilliant. Yeah. It's only, I mean, it's a 15 litre and I fill it up to 10 litres. So that works really well.
That's good. Yeah, for sure. Chris has put, he loves his Red Sea XL300. Yeah. He has all the Red Sea stuff in there. The reef mat is awesome. Does the job well. Like I said, it is big, but like you said, it does what it's made to do, mate. The reef LED is nicer. I'm throwing everything I put in from softest to LPS. Absolutely, mate. Just exactly what I'm like what Paul said. No doubt 100% it'll grow SPS wonderfully, and it'll probably, you know what I mean, better than a lot of the lights, to be fair. I mean, like you said, it was slagged off, you know, when they first come out. Oh, they're not good, they might not grow this, or they're not the best, or they're too bulky, they're this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. But you know what though? Did he do the job? Did he grow corals? Yes. Right. Well, that's all you need, mate. You know what I mean? Too many people put emphasis on new gadgets when they come out. I mean, we had a couple of issues that we, you know, like.
How can you say that about gadgets? You love a gadget.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, yeah, but if you listen, like we had a certain things with gadgets and issues, yeah, which I'm not going to go into the brand.
No, let's not go there. Let's time out on that one. No way.
But you know what? No, we get there at the end and we sort it out. But like you said, I love a gadget, mate. And if anything, but I love my gadgets just to make my job, my life easier in my tank. I want to enjoy my tank. I don't want to be messing and faffing about if something switches off and I can't look at it and go, what the hell's cut off there, or what's doing this? Or if I can find out with it straight away, mate, and easy. That's why. Obviously, doing all the cable management there, it's so easy now, mate. Yeah. I was in there, obviously doing that MXM module, yeah, which I've wired up and I set up, and it's all up and running now on the Apex and stuff, yeah.
Oh, you said, I forgot you got that. Mrs. bought that.
Yeah, MXM. Yeah. So it was like, get it all set up and get it all up and running and stuff. And you know what, mate? To be fair, I mean, the only issue I have with it, it's so easy because it controls your lights. It can control your wave makers. If you've got any AI products, it'll control them as well.
Oh, really?
So it's like, it does the AIs, all the Ecotech, all the AIs. So basically, and then obviously it does anything that's linked into the Apex. So your pumps and stuff like that. But it integrates them all together. So you can say switch off, because obviously my pump's not the Ecotech. It's only the J-Bow one, which I've always run. Yeah. I've always run them, haven't I? Yeah. That's right. But then it got me thinking, do a switch to the Ecotech one and have like a whole Ecotech system in one sense. Then it's so easy. But then what you could do is you don't need to in one sense, because I can control it and by putting a code into the Apex to say switch off lights and then blah blah blah, 4 or 5 minutes, or like if you're doing a photo, you want to do photos and you can tune them to that, you can set like a photo mode, you could turn your pumps off or you could turn your pump off just by pressing a switch. It's that easy, mate. You know what I mean? It's so easy to be able to do. And even if you're doing like water changes, obviously something I don't do, you could just switch everything off. So you could switch your return pumps off and you can switch your wave makers off all at the same time. You know what I mean? It's just like, but is it needed? No, it's not needed. You don't need to have it. But it's just it's easy. It's easy to help you out in your gadgets. And just like Chris says there, the end of the day, it's each their own. You know what I mean? It's simple as that. You put what in your tank, what you want to make your life easier with your tank, and what you can afford. You know what I mean? Because like we said, it's not cheap. You know what I mean? The hobby's not a cheap hobby for sure. You know what I mean? But like you said, there's a lot of things been going about. People shutting down tanks, and you can pick up a bargain. Do you know what I mean? So if you want that sort of thing, and you've got the money to go out and get it, then you know what, go out and get it, mate. Because it could be a great decision.
I think people also put loads of stuff on their tank that they don't necessarily need. Now I know it's each to their own, but when you start up the tank, you don't need all of the kit. You don't need as many wave makers as you would need maybe a month 9 or year 2 or something like that. So you could buy more stuff as you go along. I don't mean replace it, but you don't. When you see people that haven't got the tank yet they've got a wall to wall of all the kit, and you're thinking, well, you won't need that yet. You won't need that yet. You won't need that yet. And so therefore, unless you get a big discount,
and everything.
You won't. If you look at it, if you're just starting out, realistically, you won't need a doser for. If you're taking your time, you won't need a doser for like 9 months, maybe. If you put loads of coal in, you don't. But if you're taking your time, nice and easy, you're doing water changes, there's a good chance you won't need a doser for quite a while. I've got a question for you.
I agree.
Would you buy like a Red Sea 750 or something like that? Because they're the ones where you think, they're the ones that have had the issues with it. And to be fair, what Chris says, is that down to the manufacturer? Is that down to the way it's been set up? Would you buy one of the really big tanks that potentially have had the issues?
I would buy one of them if I had the money tomorrow, mate.
What, a 750?
I would have no issues whatsoever with that. If I knew my floor would survive that and I had the money, I would go out and I would order one tomorrow, mate. Seriously, I would get one tomorrow because I have no issue. And I've said it before, I've got that email somewhere when I emailed Red Sea. talking about it, yeah. And one of the guys emailed me back. It's got it years and years ago, but the email, and they had it, and there was a problem with the adhesive on the 525s. It was, yeah, and they had and it was a fault with the adhesive. It wasn't mixed to the correct, to the correct specifications what it should be, and that's why they were blowing out, yeah. But have you noticed how many tanks of theirs now have blown out? Do you ever see them blowing out now, mate? Not very often. You don't see many of them blowing out.
I haven't seen anywhere near as many as.
And have you seen the new ones?
On the G2, no,
never. You don't see any, mate.
The way they've reinforced all the way along here, I've got to say, fair play to them. They're really, actually, if I compare the quality of this build, of the tank itself, the silicon and just how it's all lined up compared to the 170, this one is this is on par with the DD. Now, I like the DD tanks. The DD, I've got the DD and the 170 next to one another. The DD is a massive step up compared to the 170. The cabinets are much better on the DD. They're not the spots off the Red Sea cabinets because obviously they're pre-built because they're made in this country. The quality of the tank build of this is the equivalent of the DD. The DD is much better than the older Red Sea tanks. But I mean, I've got to say, if I was going to go a 5-foot tank again, I probably wouldn't go Red Sea. I'd go DD because I just love the DD tanks. I like the shape of them. I like the cabinets. I like the height. I like the way they're built and stuff like that. So out of the two of them, I would go DD. But if I was going bigger than a 5-foot, if I was to buy a Red Sea, I'd go with the one that's got the metal stand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you go the metal stand, and then you have the wood cladding. Yeah. I think on a bigger tank, whatever the tank is, over 5 foot, it's not aluminium. I don't know if it's aluminium. I can't remember what they're made of. I would go for a metal stand on an over 5 foot.
Yeah, tank. I would 100%. Yeah,
that's what I would.
100%. I think if it, I mean, if I ever did get a bigger tank, say for instance, I think if I didn't go for a Red Sea, because I've had Red Seas since I started, I've never had any other tank, you know what I mean? But I think if I didn't go for a Red Sea, because they are quite expensive, don't get me wrong, and for what I need, I got all the equipment. I don't need all their fancy shenanigans and all that. I've got more that I've got more. I would probably go custom. I would probably go custom made, to be honest, and get exactly the spec, exactly what I want. I think if anything, I would probably go for 2 ways. You know what I mean? One either side, I think I'd go for. You know what I mean? In my mind, that's what I think I'd do. Yeah, I'd have one on the right hand side, one on the left hand side, pushing out the water that way. Really? I would go for something like that, something different. Yeah, where it's the flow's coming from up. So obviously the pipe work will be coming up, and it'll be going to. So you'd have a more powerful pump, obviously, and it would go up 2-way in. So it'd be going like that up and across and up like that. So it'd be like a T. You know what I mean? And that's the way I'd want something like that.
Remember the before they had the reefers, they had the S Max. So there was the 400, the 500, and the 650,
and it was all built in.
And on the back wall, they had I can't remember if it's vents or what it was, or nozzles, and they still do it, but not many people buy them. But I mean, they're lovely tanks because they're bloody heavy, but they're quite deep. Quite deep,
that's right.
Front to back and high. They've got the auto top up in the back, actually behind the tank, in a back chamber, and the return pump, it would come out of 4 nozzles. So you automatically had some really decent flow in them, and a control cabinet.
It came with everything. And it had the control pilot cabinets where you had the buttons where you pressed it to control the weight, the skimmer. Because it was a package, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that was before the reefers. Because I was tempted to get a 500, but I didn't. And massive tanks.
They were quite expensive. Though, guys. Because to be honest, I was looking, and then I was thinking about it, because I was going to get like the old. I don't know if they still do them. The old Aqua One. Is it the Aqua One 400 or something like it was called? Yeah. And I was gonna get. That was the very first tank I was looking at, and I was like, yeah, before. And then I've seen them ones, and I thought, you know what? But it was like, I think all in there was like 3,000, 3,500 quid or something. You know, they were really expensive. And I was like, you know what? I thought I might get finance for this. Just get finance and just buy it. Yeah. And we was talking over with the missus, and she was like, finance for a tank? Are you mad? Like, you know, you're off your head. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? Look at, and she did see it. She seen it. She was like, that is nice, you know, really nice. And I was so tempted. And then shortly after that, I was like, I thought, let's do a bit more research. And then Red Sea announced that they came out with the reefers, and that's when the 170s all come out. And that was the tank that I went for, was the 170 Deluxe. But yeah, I mean, I think, but like I said, I think this time, if ever I was to get anything, it'd either be a Red Sea, just the Red Sea tank, because I'll have everything. But I'd also a custom made one with a metal, you know, the actual metal stands. I'd have the metal stand for sure. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's just for me, it's just this cabinet and this, you know, just the logistics of it. That's what puts me off. It scares me. You know what I mean? To be honest, but it is what it is.
I've got to say, my next tank, I'll keep on flip flopping what I'm going to do. I'd like to get a 2x2 cube, but 2.5 foot deep, and set up a seahorse tank. The only thing that puts me off a seahorse tank is the fact that you need the temperature about 24 degrees. You should, from what I've read, need to have them slightly lower. And then, of course, what do you do in the summer? Because, you know, I know all 3 tanks, they can go to 26 degrees, they can go 27, not a problem. So I'd end up having to have a chiller and stuff like that. And I haven't really got the setup to have a chiller. But at some point, I'd like to have a seahorse tank. I just want to give it a go to see what it's like having seahorses. I'm now in a stage where I've been in the hobby long enough that I want to do something different. So I'd like to do an NPS tank as well. But you've got to have really good filtration. I'd like to do an NPS tank, all those really nice sun corals and all things like that. So yeah, they're the 2 I'd like to do. But certainly
that's like the elite of the elite. That the NPS tank.
I don't know if they're hard to look after or not. I think you just got to constantly feed, because obviously they don't take any energy from the on the lights. You can have any old crap light on it, it make no difference, will it? But you've got to feed quite heavy, I think. I'll have to do a lot more research. I haven't done much research into it, but I think a seahorse for starters, and then that. But we'll see.
Tom's put Red Sea win because you can get a brand new one delivered in a matter of days, and none of us like to wait. Absolutely, mate. I couldn't, definitely. That is for sure. NG Reefers put, I kind of wish I bought the Red Sea light instead of the Radion XR15, but I fell for the hype when I first got into the hobby. You know what? You know me with the Radions. I mean, I honestly don't think I would go any other light other than them now, to be honest. I just think I've just seen so much difference in the corals, the colour. Obviously, it's not just the lights. You know, it could be, it's obviously my whole tank. But remember, my tank's been, you're flowing. I mean, tank's been set up for 4.5, they come at 5 years now, I think, nearly 5 years now. So, I mean, it's not just the lights, but from changing from the AIs, you know, 26s to them, it's just been like night and day for me. So, but I dare say, for instance, I'd changed it to say 2 of the Red Sea 90s, what could have happened? You know what I mean? Maybe something different could have happened. I don't know. You know, but for me, I don't think I love those Radions, mate. I think they're just the best. You know what I mean? But
I'm still using a Gen 3. So on the floating aquascape, I'm using a Gen 3 XR15, and that will be 9 years old next month. And that tank looks. It works. So you know, I love Radions. I haven't had the 5s or 6s, so I've got 2 4s in one of the tanks, a Gen 4, and I've got a Gen 3 on that tank, and it's still, and the corals are still growing. I mean, the value I've had out of that, I bought that second hand at the time, and that was about 50% of the value of the brand new, and it's lasted me 9 years. None of the pucks are busted. All the pucks are all okay. Whether it's lost any of the intensity, I don't know after 9 years. All I know is the corals look really good. So I think the thing with Radions, a bit like the Vortex, they stand the test of time. I mean, I've got a Vortex that again will be 9 years old this year, and it's still still going as it did on day one. So I don't think you can beat them. So yeah, there was definitely hype about XR15s, but I think they're worth it personally. I do like this light. I mean, I wouldn't have got Red Sea light. It just came with the tank, but I've been really impressed with it.
Yeah.
But my go-to lights are Radiance. I've got to say, I just think they're really good.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Let's just so this Red Devil here, he was talking. I thought he was talking about a UV up here. I posted. I thought he was talking about a UV, but no, he was talking about the. Where is it? Let me see. Oh, there it is. He was talking about the smart tester that the Reef factory released. It also tests the calcium, magnesium, nitrates, and phosphate, and he said it cost around. Yeah, well, it cost $599.
$599. We saw it in Love to Reef, didn't we? We saw, yeah,
600 quid. But at this moment in time, I don't think they've actually brought the or they've not got the reagent for the calcium and the nitrates. I think all you can test at this moment in time, or what they actually comes with, is the magnesium and phosphates. I think that's the only that I've got. So I was just looking on the website just there quickly, but it basically is just saying, obviously it's saying what it tests for, but it doesn't say whether it's just bringing out the magnesium or the phosphates. It's just saying what it is. But I could have sworn I seen that it was at this moment in time, it's only for.
I think it's only magnesium and phosphate at the moment. I think they're planning to release. They are going to release calcium and phosphate. Nitrate and calcium in due course, but it's not available now. Because I remember speaking to him at Love to Reef, and that's what they were saying. Eventually, they'll have all 4 of those, but for now, it's just those 2.
Now, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Take the comment off, Steve. Can't see
sorry, mate.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, so don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean,
it's a nice.
I think it looks fantastic. You know what I mean? To be fair, but I mean, $599. It's cheaper than I thought. To be fair, I thought it was going to be like $699. You know, in line with the KH keeper.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think to be fair, I think that's not too bad. That, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things again.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? It is a lot of money.
Yeah. Is it? Are we going to use it? Not sorry. Are we going to use it? Is it a necessity? Do we need it? I don't know. You know, if you're struggling maybe with like some certain parameters, like you said, phosphates. The only thing really that I would buy that for and test with it is with phosphates. That's the only thing I will do, mate. I've got my alkalinity there, and I think alkalinity and phosphates are the 2 main things. If your alkalinity is stable, your calcium and magnesium should fall into place. You know what I mean, to be fair. So phosphates is the one that I used to struggle with a lot. And over the past, like, let's say, month or 2, it seems to be, for some strange reason, it seems to be balancing itself out. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to rise up, doesn't seem to go down. It still seems to stay the same. You know what I mean? But I would get one purposely just to test phosphates, and I'll probably test it maybe once every week, once every day or something like that. Maybe I think, you know, just to check, keep an eye on it. But you don't really need it, to be fair. But I'm sure. I'm saying that, but watch me. I'll go out and buy one soon. I bet you. Think, you know.
You haven't got. Where would you put it? Would it be behind the cupboard?
Yeah, no, it'd probably be in the cupboard. I'd probably put it in the cupboard. Yeah, I'd probably put it in the cupboard. But then again, it looks a nice piece of kit that could sit on the side cabinet. You know what I mean?
Good, to be fair. It's not very.
You know,
I was surprised how small it is when we saw it at the show. It looked really small.
Yeah, exactly. Chris has put is the Red Sea ATO is on his list, next on his list. Good for new calc users, as you know.
Yeah,
how much I'd always be exactly, mate, for sure. And therefore, you know how much calc you can use when you start. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Definitely a good shout. That Daz has put, how's the KH keeper doing, Paul? Or should we just skip that one?
I think, well, basically, it's not doing anything. I still haven't got around to doing it. I need
still
to,
on the wall. Still on the wall. It's on the wall, is it?
It's perfect. It is on the wall. That's all I can say. Yeah.
And Chris has put another, including a PC rainbow.
I think that's the Red Sea. Is that the Red Sea lights?
What's that?
PC rainbow, I think that's what Chris is saying.
Oh, right.
Growing corals, including the PC rainbow, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
You better whiz through some comments because are we miles behind? Oh, no, it's not too bad.
No, not that bad, mate. Is someone saying something? I think Tom's saying, I don't know if he's saying good night to somebody or he's saying night to us. So whichever one it is, mate, good night. I don't know which one he's saying there. He might, I think he's saying, I don't know if he said something. Let me just have a quick, I'm not that far behind, actually, to be fair.
No, you're not. Pretty good.
So let's see. Chris has put, he needs a new house first or a divorce, mate. That I speak about that all the time with my missus, for sure.
What, new house? A new house, I assume.
Yeah. Well, new house or a divorce. Sorry. Let's see.
I saw that on the bigger ones. Exactly. I didn't realise, but the bigger ones have got it, which gives you a bit more comfort, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Tom, don't know anyone who does custom tanks, MBM aquarium designs. Yeah, is a spot on, mate. I can't say mix are really, really good, to be fair. Really nice tanks. Kate are lovely as well. Kate, yeah, for sure. Very expensive though, to be honest.
I gotta say, when you look at the price, they do look nice, but the price just puts me off. And I haven't seen them in person. If I saw them in person, maybe I'll go, wow, maybe I should have one of those. But because I haven't seen it, you look at the tank and you maybe just don't appreciate how good they are unless you see it.
Yeah,
face to face.
True, I suppose. Yeah. Aluminium stand, exactly. Aluminium stand for sure. Let's see. Ailey Bar, can you have a tank full of clowns or will they fight? Yeah, you can have a clown harem tanks. They are harem, they're called, aren't they? Harem
I think tanks where you have in a big tank. Yeah, was it BRS? BRS had it. Do you remember they had a harem?
Yeah, BRS. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they did.
What they had to do to so that they wouldn't fire, and they must have had what? I think it was a 5-foot tank, I think.
Yeah, they had a load of them.
20, 30, 40 of them. They had to feed, I think it was 10 times a day. It was, if you look at the videos, go back years, we're talking, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it might even be longer. They set it up. But you can have it, but you have to do away the aggression. And the way to do that is to feed really heavily. I don't think many people do, because quite often they do fight and they end up killing one another. So it's hard. It is doable, but I think it's really hard to do and for them to survive that long.
It's a shame, that, isn't it? I wouldn't like to see that.
Brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'm so glad I went with the Red Sea. He's gone for the Generation 2 525. Absolutely, mate. He said it's well built as well. Texas Reef, it cost near £200 to run a Red Sea S1000, just salt and Red Sea ABC. Wow.
That's the one do you remember? That's the one I got a crack on, isn't it? The S. I mean, that was huge, wasn't it? Remember when we met up and saw it? I was just taking back how large that tank is.
Yeah, massive, mate. Massive. Smart tester will only test one at a time, and it's $5.99. Exactly, mate. Yeah, but the one good thing with it, say for instance, the one thing with that is you can take it out. So say for instance, you have an issue with nitrates, and then your nitrates were resolved, and then you wanted to, and then you started having an issue with phosphates. You can take it out, flush the system, and then you put the reagents of the phosphates in. Do you know what I mean? You can buy the reagents, so you can take it, so you can use one machine, but you can use it for 4 different tests.
Switch it over.
So obviously. Yeah, you can switch it over. So you've got that thing where, you know what, my nitrates are back on track now. I'm good with it. Look at the phosphates. Let's stick the phosphate cartridges in, and let's keep an eye on that for a month or 2. You know what I mean? So you've got, I suppose that's one really good thing with it is, you can always keep an eye. Once you've got one thing sorted, you can always keep an eye on it on the other one. But and really, £599, I suppose, it's not too bad, to be fair. I mean, I thought it was going to be $699 or so like that in the line of BP. Yeah, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Cottage Reef, $599. There's a lot of selling for test kits, and that is for sure, mate. Yeah, does exactly the same thing. It tests your tank. I think I would only use it for phosphates and magnesium. You know what? I would only use it for phosphates. Magnesium, very rarely I tested with magnesium. I've only started testing with magnesium because while I'm testing everything else, might as well test for that as well. So that's that's just and really it comes back at the same. It comes back between like 1380 and 1420. Always comes back at that. Never. Yeah, it never comes back anything else, mate. So, you know what? In a way, I just think to myself, you know, I don't even bother, shouldn't even really bother, but I'll just do it, like I said, because it's, I'm testing all the time. So Tom must have said night. He must have been going to bed or whatever. So good night, Tom. Darren, what I like about the smart tester is you can connect it to their dosing pumps exactly and dose according to test. Like Trident, but Trident only increases and it doesn't decrease. So could those phosphate? Absolutely, mate. Yeah. No, I get that, mate. I get that. Like I said, obviously you've got to have, well, as you know, you've got to have all of their pumps and stuff. But I've seen it on their website, how it works, and it is a good thing. But you know what? No, it's like when I was having issues with my alkalinity test, you know, my KH keeper, would I really have believed that alkalinity tester, to say for instance, it said my out was 7.8 and I run mine at 8.5, but then I go, right, well, because I'm using their dosing books, dose enough to dose it up to 8.3 or 8.4.
Steve, I'm not brave enough for that. It takes a lot of convincing to automate it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You know, to automate dosing, especially alkalinity, mate, and stuff like that. I don't think I would do it even if it was available. No,
give it a couple more generations on those things, and maybe I would.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust any pump. Remember these machines that we have and all that. You know what I mean? They're not. You know, they give you a rough ballpark. Like I said with mine, mine is at this moment in time is running it. I think it's 8.85 my DKH now on this, But I guarantee you, I could go and check on the HANA checker. It might read at 9.2 on that, and then on the Salifert test kit, it might read at 10.6. It's just like, and then you're like, well, which one do I believe? So I just do an average, and then I test
different brands do. Yeah. You test the same water, different brands, and it'll come up. What you're looking for is consistency, aren't you? It's just when you get a road test, what do you believe or not? If it tests okay, you don't retest it. If you don't like the reading, you retest it. It's a bit weird.
Retest it, mate. Exactly you do for sure. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Scott's been having issues with his KH keeper. To be fair, I spoke to him a few times, and he's saying, he's switched his KH keeper to the new D&D one. We've seen the D&D one. Down at Lutter Reef, it was. We've seen it there.
Is it in AAC?
I'm sure.
Because AAC have got it next to their DD tank. They've got the DD.
And it does look a good bit of kit, though, to be fair. It looks like it looks premium. Looks premium. Yeah, premium, solid, well built. You know, I love the display on the front of it. You know what I mean? You know, letting you know. And I did like the look of it, to be fair. Bit bulkier, more bulkier than the KH keeper for sure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Looks well built, though, doesn't it?
But it looks good, layer quality built, mate, for sure. So
the question is, will Red Sea bring out? Because you think all the kit that Red Sea's got, the only thing that's missing is the automated testers.
Well, you could say that, yeah. So you could say that because they've got like I said, they've got all the retesting kits.
They've got the reagents, so they use their reagents in their auto testers. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought that. It's the only thing I don't think they're missing anything else, are they?
I don't think they are.
Everything else they've got, including all the supplements.
Yeah, they've got light. Yeah, they've got everything, mate. Everything.
That's the only thing that the competition have got that they haven't got.
And I tell you what, mate. Mark my words. Mark my words. It might not be. I'm saying it on this. I'm saying it here. Reef Factory 100% will bring out fish tanks. There is no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen, mate. And they're going to bring out the same thing, and they're going to compete with Red Sea, in the line. Now the Red Sea brought out those ones where they're all in ones, 100%, mate. They will bring out, they will get manufacturers where they will make their own tanks and they'll make their own things, mate. It's only a matter of time. Might be a year or 2, 3 years or something, but trust me, they will bring out their whole ecosystem all in one tank, just the same as Red Sea have done now, mate. You know what I mean? You know, Red Sea have been around for decades, haven't they? They've been around for what, 6 years? 15, 20. They've been around for what, 5, 6, 7 years or something like that. You know what I mean? Trust me, mate. They will definitely come out with their own tanks. Rev Devil. Every time I go to Kraken, I always end up buying expensive coral, and I only need maybe some salt on a test kit, mate. Yeah, we always do that. We always do that. So to be fair, I tend to take my missus now, because then she's the one who. Steve, you don't need that. You got no space. You've been moaning about moving your things off that. Right, okay, love, yeah, no problem. And then that's all I have to get told, mate. And then I'm moving on for sure. He's still awake. Oh yeah, Tom's still awake. I thought he'd gone to sleep. Let me have a look. Mickey boy, he's been on a call to somebody. Nothing. Mickey would just say like how good your tanks are, and
that is true.
Yeah. That you do really good quality tanks, and a lot of people are saying if they go to you, they'll definitely go to you for their next tank if they was to get one. Tom,
that is just a big old tank, isn't it? Wow,
a 2.8 meter by 60%. Holy moly!
What's that? About 9 foot?
2.8.
3 foot roughly is a meter. 6, 7, 8 to 9 foot.
Yeah. Jesus. Wow. Mate, I'd love to see that. That'd be incredible, that, wouldn't it? Wow.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Jesus Christ. That is massive. Darren, Mickey boy, do you do Euro braces stroke custom sheets of glass cut? Who's going to Aquafest the 19th of August? If I'm off, I'll probably turn up, mate. We'll see. I always like going to these sort of events, to be fair.
Did you go last time?
You
went to that last time.
I did go last time. Yeah, I went to it last time. Yeah.
Is that Radical? Aquafest. Is that Radical?
Yeah, it was that Radical. Yeah, it was that Radical. Yeah. Tom's put it's in love. It's 9 foot 2 SPS. Holy moly! Wow, that would be incredible.
That'll take some filling, wouldn't it? You imagine how long? That's a lot of coral. Jesus. In a 9 foot tank. Gee.
Wow.
Nice one.
I bet that's looking fantastic, Tom. Can't wait. Let's have a look. I hope RC do bring out some testers, mate. They probably will do. Like Paul said, they've got absolutely everything else. So what else can they actually bring out now? I mean, they've gone all out with all the tanks. You can't get much bigger than they've already got.
Haven't they? Yeah.
They've got roller filters. They've got the return pumps. They've got the wave makers, the lights, the filter roll. What else? Let's think. What else could they? They've got skimmers.
They haven't got a level sensor, have they? I don't think. That's the only thing. They've got a leak detector.
They've not got They've got leak detector. They've got everything you need. The only thing they could probably do is like maybe upgrade it or bring version 2 out of this, or that's the only thing they can do in it. You know what I mean? They can't
temperature control. They haven't got a temperature control, have they? So you've got the control. You've got the temperature measure on here. You can see what your temperature is.
Yeah,
but they haven't got a controller. So you could bring this out of a controller. Maybe you have to have a different probe. I'm not too sure. But yeah. Good point. Let's see. Chris has put might be on the Aquafest, might be on the cards for him. And Mick Boy said, come and say hello. Absolutely. Southeast, Reef Factory got Wave Maker coming as well. So just leaves them tanks to come. So mate, trust me, it's only a matter of time. I will, you know what? I will be absolutely gobsmacked if they are not in the making or finding in the process of a tank making now at this moment in time, or maybe in the process of setting something up, because that's all they're missing. That's all they are missing. You know what I mean? And then they can compete then, can't they, against Red Sea for the title of all-in-one systems in it. That's what'll happen, mate. Cottage Reef. My missus encourages me to buy expensive corals. She never likes the cheap ones.
Oh, mate. Logs, I'll send you a picture now if Tom lets me. Absolutely, mate. If he does, for sure. Chris, Reef Factory also have a control board coming. Was speaking to them in Cracker last week, and he showed his prototype board at his home. Says, oh, are you muted?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that was talking away. Yeah. If you got one of those, then you're gonna have a tank, aren't you? Why bring out the balls if you haven't got the rest of it?
Exactly. Happy reefing all.
Yeah, cheers, Darren.
Have a great weekend. All the best night all. Good night, Darren. Thanks for joining, mate. Will do, mate. Red Sea. Yeah, that's like what Paul said. Got no heating. John, got to go. I'll see you next week. Take care, John. All the best, my friend.
Yeah, that'd
Tom,
be good, Tom.
Happy to share photos.
Yeah, send us something on
that'd be
Instagram
fantastic.
or something. Be good to see it.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be fantastic, mate.
On Instagram. Be good to have a look.
Definitely, mate. Absolutely. Question from Tom. If you could only have one coral in a new build, what would it be and why?
I think mine would be a rainbow chalice. Not that I would put that in a brand new tank, but it would be the rainbow chalice. That's just my favorite coral.
Yeah, you know what? I think, God, I think you took those words out of my mouth, mate.
I thought you'd go for that as well.
Yeah, I think it would be my rainbow chalice that I've got. I think I just every time I see it, you know, it's getting bigger and bigger, and the colours are just getting brighter. And every time I see it, I walk past my tank. It's the first thing that my eyes are drawn into. You know what I mean? It's mad, mate. Yeah. I don't know why. I just don't know what it. I just look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's coming along really nice. That, you know what I mean? So for me, yeah, I would probably have to go with you, Paul, and say a rainbow chalice. But a close second would probably be my bubble coral. That one that I've got, the bubble coral. I absolutely love that. I've had that. God, near enough from day one, mate. You know what I mean? When I could start putting corals in a reef, I had that in my 170, and yeah. I absolutely love that. Bubble corals are not now special, are they? You know, it's not a special.
Yeah, but you don't
coral.
see. Yeah, but you see the branching ones. You don't see many of them. But the ones you see are branching. You don't see the walled ones that.
No, exactly.
I think it's quite unique.
No.
You definitely don't see them. You don't see many of the bubble corals in the LFS. You do see some of them, but definitely not a walled one. So yeah, it would. Definitely a rainbow chalice.
Yeah, Chris, have a great weekend, mate. Hope you're well. Tom, stay awake, boys. Absolutely. Come on, you go to WDC and you buy. And what do you buy? Go to Worldwide Corals and what do you buy? Oh, mate, God, what can you not buy in that place? Jeez, freaking hell! I don't. You know what? God, there was so much. I don't really know, mate. What would you buy?
I'd still buy it. They've got rainbow chalices out there that I haven't seen before, so I'd go for one of their unique ones.
You see,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you see,
I like chalice. They're my favourite corals.
Yeah, I do. I like every chalice, other than the Hollywood one. That Hollywood one is probably the worst mistake I've ever done in my tank, mate. You know, when we talk about like mistakes. Yeah, I think me putting that was in my worst mistake. Now, on the top, I had a little red piece of Monty Porter, which, you know what, I only stuck it on the top because I just had no place to put it. And I thought, I'm not going to just throw it on the sandbed. I'll stick it on there and just just leave it there, And obviously it's dead now. It's just like a skeleton. It's like a ledge. It's like a new ledge, you know, like a piece of rock ledge, And it's only dead because the Hollywood stun or sweeper tentacles have stung it to death, mate. That's anything that touches stings. Now, what I've been able to do now is I've been buying in mass bulk, which is something that I don't usually do. Is, you know, the putter, and I've been putting the putter all around, sticking it on it all around where it's climbing up. You know what I mean? Yeah, because it's on the rock and I can't get it off the rock. You know what I mean? So I'm having to suffocate it with the putty now to basically so it's to stop it from growing round because it's moving around. It's moving around my new rock. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, it's not. This is not happening. So that's my biggest biggest mistake that I've, well, one of them. But I think, like you, look, for this one, I think I'd probably go for something like you said, like, you know, like a Bugatti, you know, like they do like Bugatti chalices, don't they, and all, you know, there's something different.
They
I'd probably
do
go
some
for something
random,
like
you see some pictures of some
really
random
rare
ones that I haven't seen over here.
Exactly.
Right, we're at time, Steve. We're 10 o'clock already.
We are.
It's
we
Friday.
are, my mate. It has. So as you all, I mean, I'm near enough caught to every one of you anyway. So, but to those ones who missed out, I apologise. But we'll be back next Friday anyway. So I don't know what we're going to be doing next Friday.
That last one from Tom, we'll do that on the next stream. That one.
If you could,
we do that next time, because that's a good conversation to have, and we haven't got time.
Tom, yeah, that's it. Tom, this question we will do. We will save it. Yeah, Paul will write it down, and we'll what do you call it? Yeah, take a photo of it, and that'll be the first topic we will talk about. So you know what, guys. Once again, I really appreciate you taking the time out and joining us on Fridays. Really appreciate it, as always. So join us next Friday. Be on Paul's channel.
Have a good one.
And we'll figure some out. Check us over on Instagram, and we'll see what's going to be happening. But it could be an open mic, or it could be a guest. So, but we'll figure something out, and we'll see you then. So take care, guys. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one.
I'll see you soon.